Namaste. A very warm welcome to everybody that is tuned in today. My name is Preeti Chaudhary, and you are watching Corporate Spotlight with me, Preeti Chaudhary, your friendly host. Today, the spotlight shines on Maersk Global Service Centers, and we will be talking extensively about AYC, which stands for Anchor Your Career, with two of my very good friends. So let them be here in the stream with us. And we have today two lovely and brilliant ladies who will take us through the nuances of career transition program for women, AYC, which is Anchor Your Career. Company in Spotlight, the corporate spotlight today shines on Maersk Global Service Centers India. I'm your friendly host, Preeti Chaudhary. With me today is Radha Shriharsha, who's the Director of HR, and we have Rima, who is the head of OTCX. Excuse me, pardon me over there. Without further ado, I think we should dive straight into the conversation because I have a feeling this is going to be an amazingly brilliant conversation. Let's get it started. And Radha, let me come to you first. Let us set the context a little bit for this entire piece of what is this career transition program for women. Now, we cannot dive into that until and unless we don't know a little bit more about Maersk GSC. So it's over to you, my dear friend. Please take us through the answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. And first of all, really thankful and appreciate that we are on the corporate spotlight today and featuring us for the initiative that we have in DNI called AYC. Me and Rima are super excited that we are able to come here, share a little bit about our organization, about this initiative, and also our own career experiences. And I hope that inspires and sends across a lot of excitement, equally like we have today. To all the women and men watching us today, and let me share a bit about Maersk. As you know, Maersk is the world's largest container shipping company. We are our aim is to be an integrated container logistics company, and we provide end-to-end solutions to our customers and simplify their supply chains. And we are not new. We've been here for over 100 years. But over the years, we've always evolved and kept refreshing our DNA. And it almost feels like a startup at times where there is so much happening, so much excitement. And I'm sure people who follow us on LinkedIn are seeing the various stories, whether it is technology, whether it is trade, whether it is sustainability, inclusion stories, and so many other facets where Maersk is pioneering straight from the front. And to share a bit about Maersk GSC, I am based as well, and Rima as well, in the Maersk GSC. I sit out of the Bangalore office where we also have our Maersk Technology Center, and Rima is based in Mumbai. GSC is almost like, like the engine room of Maersk, where literally we support the enterprise business from an end-to-end standpoint in making sure that our customers are experiencing the best services. They have someone to talk to whenever they have a problem, as well as selling, contracting, and many other processes that we manage from here, including some of the innovation efforts like our Ocean Pro, that is an accelerator program that's also housed in the GSC, as well as many other technology teams that are sitting out of here, but pretty much firing up the whole technology storm in the Logitech. We've in fact coined this term Logitech, right? So we are leading a lot of pieces there. The GSC is based in 3 countries, in India, Philippines, and China, and we have about 12,000 employees. India being the largest, about 9,000 employees. And like I said, 4 cities in India: Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, and Mumbai. So with that, let me hand it back to you. I hope this gave a good context about the company.
Absolutely. And it is so heartening to see when the companies and brands start humanizing it and start talking to people, as humans, and not just brands or entities that they can do business with. And I'm a first-hand sort of person, somebody that's seen that happening very closely at Maersk, because day in and day out you hear these inspiring, amazing stories. So it's absolutely my pleasure to have both of you, Radha and Rima, here to talk about everything today. Again, Radha, I think I have to come back to you because, and then I will go to Rima also for a perspective. But tell us something more about why equity, why inclusion, why diversity, what's going on in Maersk from the HR perspective, what initiatives have you taken over the years, and how is it benefiting all the different domains of, the pillars of diversity and inclusion, so to speak. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. And we've been on an inclusion and equity journey for several years now. I'm sure most of you understand and appreciate that the transport and logistics industry traditionally has been known to be a male-dominated industry. And it's also because of the nature of work, whether it is seafaring or whether it is the operations, where a lot of technical work, and mostly over the years, the interest has been pretty much a lot of men taking up such jobs. But there are also a lot of white collar jobs, right? And in fact, over the years, Maersk has done a lot in the effort of making sure that we break this myth and this stereotype that exists in people's mind, and there's a mindset that perhaps this industry is not so exciting and for women to be successful. And not just at jobs, of course, at junior levels we have, in fact, even in the GSC, 40% plus women are part of our GSC workforce. But even if you look at globally, I think there is a lot of impetus in us making sure that we have gender diversity, ethnicity, nationality, and we don't just look at diversity from a single lens. So it's also the complete spectrum. And if you go and look at all the stories that Maersk has been sharing over the years, you will notice that we've put in efforts even on the customer front, where we are enabling She Trade, which is an initiative where we're trying to help traders, women traders, to get into this business, right? So it's not just about our employees. We also believe that it's the community. So we want to make sure that both within the organization and around us, we influence this mindset. And for us, inclusion is driven around 3-4 important things. It's about respect. It's about the uniqueness that each individual brings, right, to the organization. It's about our ability to make decisions without free from bias. And then it's our ability to embrace differences. So for us, the tenet has been these 3 or 4 things, and these are deeply embedded in our core values. And some of the initiatives that I want to talk about is, even with the GSC, is, for example, the success we've had with our Back to Work program, which we had launched a few years ago, and we've still have some of these colleagues really doing well and promoted and successful in their jobs despite having a break. And one of the stories that you keep seeing, and people have seen the research, that gender stereotyping happens very early at a young age, right? So in many of the places where we're present, we're also engaging with schools and with young children in trying to break that mindset of looking at gender stereotyping in terms of jobs. So even if you look at technology, right, there is an enough amount of investment going into women in technology. That's again another space in STEM where we want to make an impact and make sure we attract the best women talent into the company. But again, like I'm saying, it's just to widen the pool, but our focus is obviously much more broader, including pride and everything else that needs to happen in terms of inclusion. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Preeti. Back to you.
Absolutely, it does. And I see this being exhibited day in and day out in terms of when I read about stuff in the news, on the websites, and what other people, what employees are talking about as brand ambassadors. And I think that's the best validation any company can get. So thank you very much for sharing that, Radha. And Rima, let me come to you. So we've heard from the HR perspective what it's all about, equity, inclusion, and diversity from that standpoint. But let's come in from the employee standpoint in terms of your own experience. How do you see equity, inclusion, and diversity being exhibited at work? Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Preeti. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Um, and I think when I look at the equity piece, then I'm a classic example, right? Uh, there is someone who selected me, invested in me, has shown confidence in what I bring to the table. and then it is also about giving back. So when I also deal with teams and work with teams, I also try to sometimes even deliberately make attempts to ensure that we not only include gender diverse employees, but also make conscious efforts to bring them along. There are so many times that women feel left out, and it may not be at workplace. It is also because of the baggage that they carry. They have to take care of the family, bring up the children, and especially in the Indian context, when a woman gets married, she marries the entire extended family also. So quite a few conversations with women where they are ambitious, and it's only about giving them that slight push and ensuring and telling them that, look, there is a backup, I stand behind you. So very, very important to also send that message out, Preeti, not just in words, but also by supporting, mentoring, hand holding them. Once you give them the comfort, they start to feel that they fit in. Then it's a matter of time before you start to see good results. Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much. And that naturally sort of brings me back to you, Rima, because, we cannot be talking about career transition for women without actually having practical experience of somebody who's been there, done that. So
Yeah.
you are that person who's had a career transition outside of Maersk, within Maersk. Please take us through your own journey so that people can relate and understand better that it
Sure.
is all not just bookish talk, but it is about lived experiences, about stuff that has been experienced firsthand by somebody like you. So over to you, my dear friend. Thank you.
Thanks, and such a relevant question, Preeti. I'll be absolutely happy to walk you through my journey. Um and I would like to start from my academics actually, so that a lot of women out there feel the comfort of what can lie in store for them. I did my graduation in commerce and followed it up with a 3-year PGD in information systems management. Uh, the IT industry was booming. People wanted to be on that bandwagon, and I joined it too. And 8 years down the line, uh, when the slowdown and the meltdown happened, I actually got impacted by it. So that was the first step that led to first transition, and ITES happened, and a whole new world of customer service emerged. So from IT, softwares, database administration, now moving into customer service, people, delivery, execution, a whole different world opened up. I think the one good thing that I experienced in my previous stint was that when you are in the IT sector, in order to stay relevant, you have to constantly upgrade your skills. So the learn, unlearn, relearn is a cycle that gets embedded in, and then that became a part of my journey even when I switched. Uh, the transition was not easy from IT to ITES, but I think glorious 11 years, different customers, uh, complex times. But as I went along, I also got a lot of support. And at the end of 11 years, it was the same kind of work. And I started thinking, now that I have learned so much, I have implemented so much, I need to also do much more than what I'm doing. How can I contribute? So it was also getting self-limiting in the role where I was. And I started to look out, and must just happen. And it was real quick. Things closed within a month or two, and I still remember my interview. The only thing that I was very familiar with was a bill of lading. I'd learned it in college, right? So I remember when I was asked, how much do you know about the shipping industry? And I said, yeah, I know it's an instrument with which you can trade. It carries a lot of financial value. That's it. What else I bring to the table? I am a self learner. I am self motivated. So that is where I can pick up things. And it's been 8.5 years, Preeti. Glorious 8.5 years. Everything has not been smooth sailing, mind you. There have been ups and downs, but I think you need a lot of resilience as a person to keep bouncing back. So if you hit the lows, become the phoenix, rise back again. Career transition. So that was the second time it happened, and and I did take good 2 years to settle in, to fit in. I think when I look back now, I realize that if something like an anchor your career would have happened, I would have sailed smoothly. So I can go on and on. So let me know if you have any other question. I'll stop and then give you a chance and then come back.
Sure. So I think I will maybe move to Radha here, because it is so interesting to hear. I mean, you've had 2 or 3 pivots already so far, and then you sort of reminiscing that, if there were more resources available, the journey could have been smoother. But let's hear from Radha as well. Radha, you are a career woman as well, and here we are talking about career transitions for women. I know we are listening to your perspective as an HR into this conversation, but that still doesn't not warrant for you to share your career transition journey with us. So please do share, and then I will take this conversation forward. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Preeti. That's really kind of you to position me. Usually I'm only seen as HR, and then, sometimes people forget that there's a woman and a human behind. But that's really kind of you. And I've had my fair share, just like Rima said, right, of insecurities, self-doubt, moments when you're like, should I make this switch, not make this switch? And but I've been a risk taker from very early in my schooling and college days, and always been somewhat like a rebel. So what I ended up doing was, from the time I was in fact offered when I was in college, and I wanted to do science, but they were asking me to pay a lot of money, and I said, I won't pay. On my merit, what can you give me? And they said commerce. I said, no, I want to do arts then, and I took up psychology and sociology, economics, and my journey with psychology in fact began by just making this one switch, one decision, right? So you're thrown into life in moments when you're pushed to make a decision, and I think the risk and the opportunities there is almost like two sides of the same coin. Very young those days, I didn't know that this decision will lead to me in fact becoming much better as an HR professional. But then over the years, I went into Tata's, I joined customer experience, spent 4 or 5 years in different facets of customer experience roles, then made a complete switch, went into CSR and working with NGOs and colleges, and kind of working with graduates and on my own as an entrepreneur, and then came back into functional training for a bit and moved into, in fact, 10 years ago, I did not even have, I had just completed an XLRI course, that too via distance education in HR. And today I'm sitting in an HR leadership role. But all that happened because of, one, your own grit and determination, your ability to take risk and make the switch, and knowing that I know I can fail, but I can deal with that, right? And then having, like Rima said, the right people who think and believe in your potential, who can push you a bit and make you feel okay with stepping out of your comfort zone. And then great organizations like my previous organization, Airtel, and now Maersk. I think the amount of investment made in me to develop me to who I am today, I think I just thank all my mentors and everybody. But those switches have happened, and I'm just grateful for where I am today. Back to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Radha, for sharing those candid moments. And by God, some checkered career over there. And I am so happy that you did take the risk and the plunge from being an entrepreneur to being into CSR to being into service sector, social service, and now shipping and HR. Brilliant. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything more. Coming back to you, my dear friend Rima, any story that sticks out to you from your career transition days, wherein you almost literally sort of gave up and then you sort of pulled yourself out there? Because what I'm trying to sort of understand is, when there is an absence of resources and programs to sort of help people, then what happens to the mindset and the overall picture for a particular person? Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Preeti. And again, a very relevant question. And I'll be extremely honest. I struggled the first 2 years in Maersk. Not first two, but 18 odd months. Actually, I joined at a very pivotal time when automations were kicking in. And I came from an IT background, right? So let me also share the horror and shock of what I realized I had walked into. Shipping systems are disparate. There are so many vendors, customers, suppliers around. You don't have a standard set to work on. And when you come from an IT company and a background, everything is more or less streamlined. You walk into the office, the sensors check what time you walked in, 9.5 hours later you walk out, they check you've walked out and you haven't come back into office for the next 18 hours, attendance done. And here I walk into an office where people are fantastic, systems are not, and it felt like going back to Adam's age. So these were my personal struggles, Preeti, but this was also my decision that I had made to transition. And being the kind of person that I am, and like Radha mentioned, love to take risks in life, totally self-made, and there came a point where I think I struggled with the cultural acclimatization the most, and in fitting in with the people and the culture. It took me quite a while, but and during that time we also hit a phase which I consider the lowest in this stint. I actually was at flight risk. I thought, hey, this is just not happening. I don't think I'm able to give what the organization expects from me. Should I move out? And none of my stints had been this short. 3 transitions, 3 long transitions. And then I also spoke to a colleague whom I'm very close to even today. I said, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I've hit rock bottom, and I'm not enjoying coming into work. There was one very good thing that person said. Is that look at your journey. Maybe since you've always delivered results, you have set a high bar for yourself, you're struggling. Then do you want to quit when you're at your lowest point, or you want to rise back to that point, prove your worth? And if then you want to still move out, do so. That stuck with me, Preeti. And then when I started to find these 2-3 confidants, and it's very important for all of us to have them in the organization, because when you hit that low point, and if you have somebody who can help you to get out of your thought process, see things differently, come out of the problem and see it, I think you'll do much better. So had to look at it objectively from somebody else's eyes. And the minute I also knew that there was intercultural empathy, somebody to depend on, I started to feel better. I also started to seek out colleagues, resources, bounce ideas off with them to say, hey, this is where I struggle. What did you do to get over it? And it was a matter of time. So my third year is when I started to rock in terms of performance, people, the network that I built. But I did struggle. Thanks. Over to you, Preeti.
Okay, and thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing those innermost feelings of struggle initially. But I am so happy to see you where you are today, Rima. So that is absolutely fantastic. And a quick reminder for everybody that is attending today, we will be talking in detail about the Anchor Your Career Transition Program for Women. The comment section is open for any kinds of live questions that you may have for Radha and Rima. For anything else, please reach out to Madhuvanti. Her email ID is into the comment section of this live. For anything else, all of us are right here. But just remember, please do leave your questions, queries, or comments in the comment section. I will be taking those up later in the Q&A section of this program. So with that, my dear friend Radha, it's over to you again. So here we are, a journey of, acclimatization and a bit of a struggle. And I think that one of those, those kind of sort of stories and feedbacks is what sort of prompted to start this kind of a program. So please tell us in detail, what is Anchor Your Career program all about? How does it help women in career transition? What is the guidance, help, support that Maersk will offer? Who is it open to? And everything else in between. It's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. And this is my favorite part when we can talk about this initiative. So yes, so like we called it Anchor Your Career. Anchor because it's shipping, but it's about careers for women. And the two main drivers behind the thought is more than bringing women, because we need women. It's more about bringing diverse thinking and diverse experience into our industry from a wide spectrum of industry. And hence, if you notice that we've opened this, when we launched this last week, We've opened this to literally anybody and everybody who comes with a leadership experience from a minimum of 2 to 3 years or 5 years to even 10 to 15 years. So we are looking at leadership roles, spanning across careers, and we are looking for women. The 3 or 4 things that we are looking for is intent, aspiration, learnability, and this keen need to, that I want to jump into this and I want to give my full self into it, but equally know that from our own experience and the people that are involved in shaping this initiative, whether it's talent acquisition, whether it is HR, whether it's the development team, the sponsors, and Rima is one such sponsor. So we've put in a team that pretty much understands what does it take for us to make this initiative a success. And a few other things, like we are focusing on commercial and finance roles, and across a spectrum of experiences. We will start small, but we will start in cohorts. The development initiative is shaped in such a way that it's not all about the first 6 months where you have absolutely no engagement with the rest of the organization. We want to make sure that the stickiness begins even from the time that people apply and experience the selection process itself, when they're going through an evaluation, when they're meeting our leaders. So we are intimately designing literally every small piece that starts from the time when someone applies to the time when someone makes it into the role, and then through a journey of 6 months. And some of the tenets there again are, a good blend of, we understand that in the current environment, we're still virtual. Everything is still going to be remote. We would have loved to have face-to-face interaction, come together as a group, celebrate these journeys beginning, right, together. But we want to make sure that we don't lose out just because we are remote. So even though we will be virtual, we will try and keep it very personal. So we are trying to customize learning paths depending on the kind of talent that will come into the journey. So pretty much, and Maersk GSC follows an agile thinking and mindset. So even this initiative will be actually dealt and managed in an agile way, so that we learn as we go. And like I said, we want to make sure that we retain the uniqueness of the talent when they come in, both the capability, their experiences, and what they bring into the table, as we then blend them into the Maersk culture, the Maersk ethos, right? So we'll of course look at functionally orienting them towards understanding the nuts and bolts of the business, understanding the customer journey, not just looking at it that, I am a frog in this small well here, but actually understanding the global landscape. Because when you join Maersk, you don't join and make a career just in one city, one function, one domain. You actually can make a career literally, it's the whole, the whole panorama of opportunities open up globally. So we want women to come in and understand what's the global landscape. What are the different functions doing? Where do I fit in? If I get a role in commercial, right? And if I'm a leader, then where do I fit in? What we are looking for in the women that we are hiring, couple of skills as well, right? Transferability of the skill. Whatever they bring in, are they able to apply that into our industry? And we will, of course, explore that in our conversations with them. And then we're looking for elements like team players, collaborators, problem solvers, and in fact, we love people who ask questions. So my one request here to all people who are watching us, and if they have applied, then we love questions. So ask us questions about what you want to find out, because that's very important for them to make a choice. They need to be sure about what is it that I need to get into this role or get into these, this industry, and then what is it that I don't have? How can I bridge that gap? So over a period of 6 months, we will skill the women, but we will make sure that there's a good rhythm of learning along with live projects, interaction with members in the organization, leaders, influencers. So over the 6 months, hopefully, we will skill them enough that they develop an understanding of the domain, but they also are able to keep their voice. And that's really essential for us. Back to you, Preeti.
Thank you very much. I think it's a good foundation and a starter for people who now want to start thinking and putting in those questions over there. But before that, I have to go back to my dear Rima. Rima, earlier on, while you were talking about your own career transition, one word that stuck out to me and is very dear to me as well is sponsorship. And here you are going to be a sponsor yourself for Anchor Your Career program, please help the young women and girls and everybody out there who are tuned in today the importance of sponsorship, and why did you agree to be a sponsor for this particular program? What is it that you are going to be bringing to the table? Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Preeti. And I think when I draw upon my entire experience, then who better than me to do it? Uh, so I understand the aspects, and when Radha was talking about how huge this organization is, it is actually an ocean. It is an ocean, and if I've taken 3 to 5 years to start joining the dots through this program, I think we can bridge that gap really quickly. Uh, and from the points of failures that I've had, we can actually blur those lines and make it very seamless for those that we will onboard, right? Uh, so what's important? Networking, collaboration, we need to be team players. And when we work in this organization, then it's our own, right? So everything that goes upstream and comes downstream has an impact. What you feed in here at this stage and skip it will have an impact, and it will impact the customer. So understanding these nuances is very, very important. And helping those that we bring on to transition through each of these phases, getting them connected, will help them to feel comfortable and fit in really quickly. And those anxiety and apprehension pangs which I have gone through will not exist at all, actually. So you then become like a mentor, a coach, a guide who's showing them the path, but it is also up to the other person to pick it up and run with it. And hence I am so keen also to participate in this. You see, it is in giving that you receive. So when I got all the support from the management and the organization, then it's only time that I also start to work towards the same and help these women come up the curve. Thanks, Preeti.
Thank you, Rima. And indeed, thank you for paying it forward, because that is exactly how we as girls, women, we can only rise by lifting others. When we walk, we have to make sure that our hand behind is holding at least one more, and then that person is holding another one. And that is how we can sort of keep carrying each other and moving forward. So thank you very much for that. Absolutely fantastic. Radha, I'm back to you again. Any more details that you would like to share, and what is the process, the procedure of how does one go about, signing up? What happens month 1, month 3, 6 months? Tell us a little bit more, please. I'm really excited because I would like to see, 10,000 women sign up now, today. Over to you. Thank you.
Yes, but I can literally feel the excitement through the screen, Preeti. So thanks for that vibe on this. But let me share a little bit of the practicalities. So we've opened the applications last week. We are open until the 4th of June. It's on our page. It's most of us have gone about and shared it on our. So if you go on my LinkedIn, you'll find the link to go and apply. If you don't find anything, just drop it into the inbox, right? Directly message us and send your CV, and we'll be happy to take up the application. And then what happens is once we begin the process after 4th June, we'll of course go through screening. We have, we do an assessment, which is pretty much simple. It looks at basics of communication, aptitude, thinking and all of that. So we have a very simple assessment, and then followed by certain conversations with hiring managers who are actually involved in both the development, but also, Rima as a sponsor. So there will be a bunch of our leaders who will get involved in the hiring process. But again, here we are trying to make it as seamless as possible. And if all goes well, in fact, that in one day somebody goes through the assessment interview, and at the end of the day should I almost know whether they made it or not. And once the selection happens, and we know that we're open to both women who are coming straight from another organization, another industry. So maybe they have a period of notice that they need to serve with their current organization, and we'll respect that. But we're also open to women who are coming after a break. And there are some women who've expressed that they are ready to join sooner. So then, based on the selections we make, then we will form cohorts and have women joining us from anywhere in July to, depending on when their notice period gets over, and that's why we'll have cohorts. And then pretty much what's going to happen is there are, of course, preferences that the women have expressed as they're applying. Some are open to commercial roles, some are open to finance roles because they come from a finance background but a different industry. So then based on that, there is, of course, in the beginning curriculum, which is more generic. Like I said, we want them to understand the global landscape, the enterprise itself, the customer, including how, like, each of these women should know if a customer comes and does business with us, how would they do it, right? Well, what do you do when you go on a website and stuff? So even the simplest of the things, we want everybody to literally be like a brand ambassador and be able to talk in as much detail as somebody from customer experience would do. So we will then make sure that there's a fine blend of leadership development. We are hiring leaders, but we also want them to understand what does it mean to be a leader in Maersk. And especially in the current context of the care and empathy that's required and the remote leadership, right? So there is a little different essence that we want to bring in to make them understand that what does it mean in Maersk to be a leader. So there will be a track around leadership, and then there will be a functional track. This happens for about 3 months. And interspersed with this is the interactions with different leaders in the organization. That's to make sure that there is a sense of belonging coming. They understand that if I'm part of finance, who are the leaders in finance? What kind of people? Where do they live? Who can I go to, right? If I have domain-related questions, then who should I approach? Because everything may not happen with the one training team or one learning team and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that they have an anchor manager, they have a sponsor, but they also have buddies in the organization where they can be absolutely honest and transparent and express whatever it is that's on their mind, and we should be able to solve that for them. After the first 3 months is when we go into the live projects. So we will start identifying depending on how the women are picking up. So it's possible that some young women that come in are, picking up the functional domain understanding really quick. Then we don't want them to wait for 6 months and say that you finish everything and then we'll assign you a role, right? We don't want to do that. So if we know that there are fast learners and they're fast paced, we want to make sure that they get more challenges and assignments alongside. So it's almost like shadowing a current leader and doing a live project. And you have a safety net. So if you go wrong, you know that there's somebody to fall back on. That's our intent of having a live project, but we will obviously not keep it easy. Know that it's going to be tough, it's going to be challenging, but it's going to be done with a lot of kid love and care, and we make sure it's fun as well. So that's pretty much how it's going to go. Towards the end of 6 months, we'll of course have a nice rounding off and graduation of sorts, but it'll just be landing them into the best roles that they fit in. And then it's just like Rima and me, they will just have their leaders, anchors leading them away into great careers and success. We're also conscious, Preeti, that it is possible that a certain percentage will struggle and may not be able to make it, right? Again, there we will encourage, we will support, we will see how to help them either within the organization find roles or help them find the path that they want, but it will be mutual. And that's also something that I want to be really transparent and honest here. So I'm just placing that as well with you. Back to you, Preeti. I hope that covers your question, the answers you were looking for.
Absolutely, it does. And the thing that is standing out in all of this to me is the empathy and the compassion by having sponsors, by having buddies, by having those safety nets. So there's really nothing for the joinees to worry about, So that's absolutely fantastic. And with that, we have our first question. I think this one is for you, Radha, and we have quite a few questions actually. So the first one is for Radha. I'm going to pull it up on the screen right now. This is from, there it is, Nitika, who says, who is eligible for this program, please?
Yeah, so Nitika, thanks for the question and thanks for joining the session today. This is open to women who have leadership experience from anywhere between 2 years to about 10, 15 plus years. And we are looking for women from different industries. So obviously not from our own industry, but manufacturing, retail, pharma, aviation, real estate. We've had all kinds of applicants. So it's pretty much for people with that, kind of a background in industry and who want to make a transition into the shipping and logistics industry. That's pretty much what we're looking for. And overall, yes, because you will be a leader, you'll obviously have to have some amount of experience, working experience as well, which is about overall about 5-6 years if you're making the start at a leadership level, which is, where you're a team leader, for example, and at senior levels, which could be a general manager level, where you are 15 plus years of work experience, but also you have leadership experience for 10 plus years. So this is pretty much what we are looking at from an eligibility criteria. Thank you, Preeti. Back to you.
Thank you so much. And this next question, Rima, I will come to you first, and then Radha, please add something to it as well. Here is Madhuri, and I'm just going to read it out in 1 second to you, as long as, yeah, soon. Can you also talk about the opportunities through AYC in technology or digital transformation, please? Rima, it's over to you. Thank you.
Radha, will you take that? I'm now passing it on.
Yeah, I can take that. So, this program is right now scoped only for our finance and commercial business. And technology itself is going through a whole ramp up in India. And you can write to techcareers at Maersk.com if you're interested in some of our tech roles. And you don't have to worry about which industry or background you come from. In fact, in the space of HR, technology, some of these places where the skills are very unique, but the industry can be, it's almost like like a horizontal slab, right? That I could be in technology, but I am in FMCG or in banking or in retail. But that technology pillar always helps me. So we are open, not in the umbrella of this program, but we are open to looking at both men and women in our technology roles, and we have a lot of open technology roles. So feel free to go on our website and careers page and apply for the roles that best suit you.
Thank you for that. And I think here is a question again for you, Radha. And here's Captain Charanjit Lel saying, how do you help a woman in her first 10 years of her career when they are tackling issues of marriage, family, etc.? So what is those kind of balances and checks? Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti, and thanks, Captain Charanjit Lehal, for this question. Really important and relevant in the current times, and we know as women, many of us have struggled with this, right? And early career days are really important. I would like to answer and respond to this in two parts. The first part is a more generic response, and this is from my own experience. And I myself, when I went through maternity early 10 years ago, I did take a break from career, and then I came and joined Maersk. So thankfully there are a lot of companies today that are open to hiring women that take breaks during either a family situation or you're getting married or you're having a child. These are not derailers. These are not times when women should feel any less than anybody else. This is part of life. And it is a very important aspect of life to experience everything that we are going through, whether it is a relationship, whether it is a support as a primary caretaker to your elderly, or it is upbringing of a child. I think it's important, and we are actually creating the citizens of the world of the future. And that was my rationale as well when I decided that I know financially that I will struggle for some time, but I knew that I wanted to give my fullest to the early years of my child, and I wanted to dedicate that. So one, respect for all women who make that choice. And then, the other urge that I have for all people who are into hiring or talent acquisition or evaluating people, then not to look at any gaps in career as almost like a derailer or a plateau. It's nothing. In fact, I feel that I'm far better as a leader because of what I experienced being a mother. And I know there are different people with different choices in life. So I respect that, but I would just place this. Now, having said that, there are women who are struggling with dealing with some of these expectations from family and from marriages. Now, there it's very important that One, that you have the courage to express your aspiration and desire that you want to pursue your career, and then making sure that if it is a spouse, for example, making sure that they're on your side is super important. And how does that happen? It happens through honest and very, very transparent conversation, that this is who I am, this is who I aspire to be, and this is how I will be happy in life. And if you and I together, it's almost like shaping our lives together and our dreams together, and being able to have that conversation with family. Then, of course, there are times when you have a large family and you have responsibilities, and sometimes women don't have a choice. Then they have to take a pause and focus more there. Like I had to do this during my COVID time from 2020 beginning to now. I stepped out of a lot of live projects that I was in the organization, because I had to focus on my daughter, and my daughter needed my help and my time coping with the online education. And I knew that these are really, really high visibility projects. These are things that I will miss out. But I was okay making that balance. So there will be times when you have to strike that balance. Now, the second part of the response is what Maersk is doing. So Maersk as an organization has a flex work policy. And our flex work philosophy centers around providing flexibility not just to women, but every employee in the organization, to make sure that we have the right balance of our career needs as well as our personal needs. And that doesn't always have to be family. It's also about self-care. Do I have time for myself? Do I have time to sit down and just relax, have a cup of coffee, do my yoga, or whatever that is, right? So at Maersk, we follow this flex work philosophy, and we make sure that people have the space and time, and the ecosystem is enabled in such a way that leaders understand, colleagues understand, and everybody is leaning in to make sure that we experience flexibility to the fullest. Back to you, Preeti. Long answer, but there were many facets to it, so I hope it's okay.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's more than okay, actually. And I'm going to go to Rima for her lived experience of when she was transitioning. What was it like to be in this kind of a situation? Because two people, two different perspectives. More the merrier, because that is how we sort of learn and we grow and we move forward. So over to you, my dear friend Rima. Your perspective, please.
Sure, Preeti. Uh, so I think I've been fortunate to get support from home. And when I say support is to chase my ambitions. But that does not take away the rest of the work from my plate. So when I'm home, then I'm expected to be a proper daughter-in-law, and do all the duties that a daughter-in-law is expected to do. And likewise, so my parents expect me to take care of them also. And they're octogenarians, right? So to answer that question that came up, I see similar struggles with our women leaders also. And there are so many times when we get into a conversation and they start sharing their struggles. Uh, I'm at home, and especially during COVID times, I'm expected, because I'm home, also to provide for everything besides doing my work. But the good part here is, Preeti, uh, they can, while you're supposed to work X number of hours, they can complete their work, take a break, finish that, go back to it. And in those terms, then flexi work is actually helping. There are so many who have reached out to me to say, hey, you know what, once office opens, I would love to continue in this format, allow me to work the way I want. uh, and I'm sure that I will be far more productive and do a better job. And then there are those who have managed to have a proper family, been with us for 8-10 years, had two babies. The policies are such that it allows you to take care of your family while you also get to come back to work and still chasing ambitions. So it takes all kinds, right? And here is where I feel that as a leader, I should also support them. See, these are strong women, right? And you need those. And when they do a fantastic job, then it is important to stand by them, back them up, because you've also been there someday and done that. But culturally, we are like that, Preeti. So there is a ton of support that comes from everybody. So that's a great backbone that we have, top down. Thanks, Preeti. Hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, it does. It is totally a lived experience of how you have seen and been through the whole situation yourself. So it absolutely adds tremendous value. I'm back to you, Radha. And there are a couple of questions about freshers wanting to know about opportunities, I know Anchor Your Career is more for leadership program, but maybe on a generic note, if we can sort of disseminate some sort of an information, maybe they can have a more informed idea. So there's a couple of students in the final years and some who are just about passing out, class of 21 and next year class of 22. They would like to know, how do we engage with Maersk and what are the options for us? Over to you.
Thank you, Preeti, and thanks to all the young students who are here as well and watching us. And the commitment that you're showing to your career already, that itself, I think, is a big plus, and you should take that as a compliment. That doesn't come easy, and I know a lot of youngsters who are like sitting and chilling and not worrying so much about what happens to me after college. But I'm really happy to see that this question has come. As a company, like you said, right, we have something for everybody. So we have this initiative, of course, which is about career transitions and more for experienced colleagues. But on our careers page, you will also notice, and this is not launched yet, but in the near future, we will have engagement with campuses. And there might not be too many, and that's more because of the domain that we are in. And we do require people to know at least the bare minimum of working in an office, etc. But there is a shift in ideology we are also making with ourselves, which is in terms of future of work, where we are being dynamic about what workforce means, and literally anybody can offer value if you know how to extract that from in terms of what capability they bring, and then how to enhance that capability to meet the organization's need. So we, along with, and Gautam Shetty, who is our talent acquisition lead here for APAC, so a bunch of initiatives are being thought through, not just to cater to the fresher population and campus strategy, but also, for example, work from anywhere, right? Or women talent that are based in different cities, and not just in the cities that we are based in as the GSC, but what if somebody is in a remote town? Because we know a lot of our employees have moved away to remote towns where they're with their families. So how do we make sure that careers can still be successful irrespective of where you're based, until and unless you can add value and your capability is required by the organization? So watch out our careers page. I don't have answers yet in terms of what jobs, what roles where, but know that you are on our mind, and we will engage with campuses as well. Back to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much. And I think there are quite a few questions, but those can be sort of taken off with the team. Reach out to the team, Madhuvanti, reach out to anybody in the Bangalore and Bombay office, and I'm sure you will get all those answers. But before we close off for today, Rima, I'm going to come to you. Any tips, tricks, anything at all for a successful career transition? Success, whatever it may look like and be perceived for different people, we totally understand that. But from your own experience, from your own lived journey, anything that would help the upcoming career transitionists. Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Preeti. Yeah, there will be two or three things, Preeti. I think one is to communicate. Don't feel awkward to show your vulnerability when you're feeling low. Talk it out. There is plenty of support around. It will come to you. The other is that when the support starts to come in, then you also have to bounce back. Be resilient. Be strong. It is very important to bounce back and also build the confidence. Because that then helps the organization to understand you are as receptive. So that will help. And then keep on learning, unlearning, relearning. That is what transition is all about. That will help you to succeed. Take risks. Don't shy away from it. Support is there. So those are the three things from my side, Preeti, and from my story, actually. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And to round off this conversation, I am back to you, my dear friend Radha, for your tips and tricks. And they're twofold here. One from the HR perspective and one from being a woman leader. So career transition from that aspect as well. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. You say it so beautifully. But so I think what will matter is for our talent to have clarity on what is it that they are seeking, right? And knowing that, why am I making this switch? And the reasons could be 2 or 3, right? That it's a new learning opportunity, it's I want to test my potential, or it is that I've been in a different industry, I worked with the best players there, and now I have nowhere else to go, so why not then go to the best company in a new industry. So there could be different reasons, and it's very important to have that clarity of purpose. Why am I looking at this change, and what is it that I'm willing to give into this? Because this is an investment that will need a lot of commitment, not just about time, it's also about ability to put yourself outside your comfort zone. You'll every day almost feel like, oh my god, why did I do this? So it's very important that you're comfortable with that feeling, and like Rima said, that you're okay asking these questions, you're okay talking to a few people, breaking some boundaries inside your head and outside, and barriers that you sometimes we create barriers for ourselves. So those are some very important aspects that we want women to bring when they come into this. And then the ability to reflect. See, learning can always be just like book and knowledge, right? But unless and until I can absorb, chew on it, reflect, and then apply that, what do I do with this? Now I learned about this. Now, what do you think happens next? So that whole curiosity and application is very important. So those are important pieces when I look at the HR lens. And now from the heart of a woman, I think it's like you've learned swimming technically and you don't know, now you have to dive in. It's that feeling, and there is this butterfly in your tummy, but that's exactly the time when you should take that plunge. And be okay that you don't have a safety net, because you know that you're joining an organization that's really, really deep in terms of its values and its culture. So you're not making a risk in terms of just going about anywhere. You're coming to a brand that really values people, really values communities, customers, and society. So with that, I think just take the plunge and have the courage. And we have this tagline, together all the way. So my commitment and promise is, we're in this together all the way, right? So us and them, and of course the whole team at Maersk. Back to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much. Summed up so beautifully in that one last phrase. Together in this, the entire family of Maersk, absolutely brilliant. Couple of quick reminders for the audience here today. Any of the questions that are unanswered, the team of Madhuvanti and my other dear friend Natasha will be taking those up. You will get those responses, so please do not worry about that. Do visit the career page. And now I'm going to say something else. You've heard it first. Like Radha said, there are several other initiatives that are coming up. Watch this space, because you will get to know more, learn more in the very near future. I know for a fact there are 4 or 5 very exciting programs. I am not going to say anything more. Just be on the lookout. Go to maersk.com and keep your eyes and ears open. So with that, it is time to say our byes. You have been watching Corporate Spotlight. The spotlight today was shining on Maersk as a shipping company, Maersk Global Service Centers, Maersk Solutions based out of Bangalore and Bombay in India. We had Radha Shriharsha, who's the director of HR, and we had Rima Garodia, who is the head of, I'm flummoxing again, OTCX. I've got that right this time. And this is your friendly host, Preeti Chaudhary. This stream was brought to you by StreamYard. We are saying our Jai Hind. Do take good care. Stay safe. Thank you, Radha. Thank you, Rima.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you so much. See you very soon again. Do take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.